Hello, I'm DelusionDispeller. I'm going to be reading to you and kind of sharing with you from this book, Stop Walking on Eggshells. It's by Paul T. Mason, MS, and Randy Krieger. I'll let you know the copyright here. It's going to be more of a discussion type of sharing today. 2010 is the copyright for that book. So we're going to be talking about 3 forms of reactions. According to Harriet Learner, copyright 1985, people will react in one of 3 predictable ways. They will either react with mild disagreement, intense disagreement, or threats. And we're going to talk about at least one of these today, possibly more. Depends how I feel after I finish with talking about the one. All right, so first of all, happy Mother's Day to all those mothers out there that are true mothers. If you are just a person that has sired a child, but you're abusive, neglectful, manipulative, controlling, domineering, then you don't deserve a happy Mother's Day. But if you're a decent mother and you're raising your children to be loving, kind people, and you are loving and kind to your child, as well as giving structure and discipline that's healthy, then happy Mother's Day to you. But not everybody that calls themselves a mother or that other people call them a mother deserves a happy Mother's Day today. They just don't. Some mothers are not true mothers. They're egg donors. And those of you that have watched me for any length of time know that I have that view. For instance, Diane Downs and some of the other evil people that called themselves mothers that sired children are not mothers and do not deserve a happy Mother's Day at all. But to those of you that do, happy Mother's Day. All right, on that note. Okay, so like I said, there's going to be mild disagreement, intense disagreement, and threats that we're looking at here. So first, the mild disagreement. The person that is abusive will tell you that, oh, I am only doing this for your own good. I'm doing this because it's best for you. And you know that it's not best for you. And you know it's not anything good towards you. It's very selfish. Their motive is very self-serving, gratifying. And it's very common for people that are not borderline to set limits, and then the borderline to see you as the one that's punishing them. The projection of you being bad guy and them being the good guy. So, also labeling. They will call you names. They will project onto you. I remember one borderline in my life who's also narcissistic called her husband a promise breaker. She said it in baby talk, promise, boyko, like that. When actually she was the one breaking the promises. So that's another thing they do is they'll label you, and it's usually them projecting onto you what they're doing. Pathologize, I can't even say that word, pathologizing. They try to tell you that not only are you acting bad, it's more than that. You are bad. You're evil. You don't deserve anything good. You're a terrible person. You're sick. You're mental. That kind of stuff. Mental in a bad way. And the more you put your discipline and your balance in there with the borderline, the more they will label you and call you names and try to make you feel like you're crazy. All right. And they'll even accuse you of being the one that's borderline. That's the other thing. Okay, a lot of times the borderline, when you set the limits for them, will engage other people. And they'll say things like, well, so-and-so over here, Aunt Mary, thinks that you're crazy too. Uncle Henry thinks you're too hard on me. They think that you're being ridiculous. And they'll kind of gather, like, allies against you. That's the other thing they'll do. So this is kind of an example of this in operation, okay? So the first thing is you need to stay away from trying to defend your limits. You have every right to set boundaries and limits with the borderline. I think I may break this up into a few different sections because this is rather lengthy. I'm kind of excerpting through the book. I'm not always reading everything exactly as it's written, just so you know. All right, so the borderline may say, you are evil. You are terrible for telling me that I have to wait to call you. I'm making this up, like I said. I have to wait to call you till after you have dinner. You're a dreadful person for doing that. You know, if we were friends, for sure, you just take my call any time of the day, anytime, day or night. This is how you answer. I know you think that I'm a bad person and that I don't care about you, but I like myself. I feel good about myself and I have self respect. So I'm going to set this limit with you. And that's it. The borderline may say, you must really hate my guts. I've actually had a borderline say that to me. And your response should be, nope, I don't. In fact, I really care about you a lot, so much that I want to make this relationship work out. I also care about and respect myself, so that's why I'm setting this limit. Okay, borderline may say, you're a manipulator, you're a control freak. You say, I understand that you think I'm a manipulator and a control freak. I think that it's a good idea for you to learn to make choices and decide on your actions. And it's my job to make sure that I am doing things that I'm comfortable with. And this is very important to me and my self respect. Borderline may say, you shouldn't feel like that. You say, well, maybe if you were in my position, you would not feel like this. We're two different people. We each have our different ways of seeing and perceiving things and feelings and opinions. And I'm asking you to respect my choices and my feelings, even if they aren't yours. The borderline says, you're like a kid. I'm more like your parent. Especially if you're the parent, they may say this to you. Or, I mean, especially if they're the, how do I say this? Yes, this would be between a grown adult child and their narcissistic, or I mean, their borderline parent, which there's some borderline and narcissistic in both. So you could have a narcissist who has borderline tendencies and a borderline that has narcissistic tendencies. There are crossovers. But in this case, in this scenario, this is a person that was the borderline's child but is now a grown adult. I need to clarify that. So they're saying, I'm more like the parent and you are, or I am the parent because they are the parent and you are the child. Sorry to get that mixed up. And now this is a grown up adult child. And they say, I am your child. I'll always be your child. I'll always have been your offspring. But I'm not a little girl or a boy anymore. I'm a grown up. And I can make my own decisions based on my feelings, my beliefs, my thoughts. You can be free to disagree with me, but it's also my way or my right to make choices to act the way I want to act, to make the decisions I make, and also to give myself respect and protection. All right, so here's some other things. I'll read this verbatim from the book right now. Other non-argumentative responses include, that's your choice. I'd like to talk about this later when things have calmed down. I need to think about this more. There are no villains here. We just see things differently. I'm not willing to take more than 50% of the responsibility. I know you don't like this, but it's not negotiable. I know you want an answer right now, but I need time to think. I won't be put in the middle. You need to work that out with this other person. Because a lot of times borderlines will try to drag you into the middle of things that aren't your business to be dragged into. When a borderline escalates, when they start getting angry, when they start lashing out and projecting, it's because they feel like you are taking away their substance. Remember, they are like an empty shell of a person until they are treated. If they were previously saying something about you, now it will get more intense because you have hit on that nerve of the borderline. That fear of abandonment, that fear of I'm not good enough, so they're going to leave me, they're going to reject me, they're not going to like me. They don't hear, a lot of times they don't hear exactly what you're saying. You're saying, no, we need to have boundaries because we need to know that we are separate individuals. It's not that I hate you. It's not that I loathe you. It's not that I don't want to be seen with you or I don't want to communicate with you. It's that you need to be your own individual self and you are engulfing me. You are trying to cling to me too much. I need my space. They just don't hear it like that. They always hear the rejecting message, unfortunately. I was going to make this shorter, but honestly, this is good stuff, and I'm just going to keep on talking to you about it. Let's see. If the borderline does overreact, if they counterattack, so to speak, or attack you, it's basically that they're uncomfortable. Remember that. It doesn't mean that what you did was wrong. It means they're not handling it well because they do not handle limits very well at all. Okay. You just need to realize if the borderline person can devalue you or accuse you of leaving them or abandoning them, and if they say, like, I don't want to ever see you again, and they leave, whatever happens, realize that all you did was maybe speed things up again. They were eventually going to do that anyway, because they always react from that fear of abandonment, that fear of rejection. And if you set limits, it feels like you're rejecting them. It feels like you're going to leave them to them, even though you may not be. All right, okay. Just a second. Let me see what this says here. These are so long chapters, but I really want to get through this book because I got to take it back to the library. But I'll see you on the next video. I'm going to continue on with the next part of this chapter. We're going to be talking about what happens if you set the limits and the borderline will not have it. So stay tuned for the next part. I'll label these by parts. See you there.